charged 58 ex-officers of the close to former President Laurent Gbagbo. Many of the indicted officers are accused of a Popo massacre during the height of the recent conflicts.
A Tunisian court has acquitted the former security chief of ousted President Ben Ali. General Ali Seriati was charged with forging passports to help Ben Ali and his family flee the country. The court was less indulgent with 25 members of the extended Ben Ali family who were handed down prison terms of between 4 months and 6 years. Although acquitted, Ali Seriati, a key man in Ben Ali's regime, also faces trial on more serious charges, including of plotting against state security. South African President Jacob Zuma ended a visit to Bujumbura Friday, having signed 5 cooperation agreements with the Burundian authorities. But Burundi's opposition expressed disappointment, saying it had expected more from the South African president, who was the main mediator in Burundi's conflict. He said that he had come to sign cooperation and trade agreements, as though there were peace. But there is no peace. Côte d'Ivoire has charged 58 army officers close to ousted President Laurent Gbagbo over crimes committed during the post-election crisis. 40 of the officers are being held in custody. The detained include Dogbo Blé, a former commander of the Republican Guard, and several officers accused of having fired on women demonstrators in Abidjan's Abobo neighborhood.
The United Nations have begun voluntarily repatriating hundreds of Congolese refugees back to their country of origin. Majority of the refugees say they intend to return to Congo due to lack of meaningful jobs for refugees. The voluntary returnees were each given financial incentives to start up new lives in their new homes. We have more on that story in this report.
Of the 9,500 refugees from Congo-Brazzaville counted in Gabon, some 450 agreed to join a convoy taking them back home. Among them is the family of Jean-Paul Mabika. He fled the Congolese Civil War in 1999 and is returning home now with his wife and their children, who were born in Gabon. I have not worked in 6 months. What will I do here? So I said to myself, why don't I go home? I'll find something to do there. If there's work, it's good. If there's not, it's okay too. This is officially a voluntary repatriation organized by the United Nations High Refugee Commission. It follows an accord signed by the Gabonese and Congolese governments. On July 31st, the Refugee Commission announced that the people who fled Congo for Gabon no longer had refugee status. The people who decide to stay are now considered to be simple immigrants and must update their status in Gabon. I asked them to give me the nationality after all my years here. They refused. They wanted me to pay for a residency card, and I said no way, I don't agree. I prefer leaving. The convoy left Chibanga, 650 kilometers south of Libreville. Their destination is Dodizi, in the south of Congo-Brazzaville. At the border, the returnees were handed a financial care package. The envelopes contained 100,000 CFA francs, or about 150 euros for each adult, and 50,000 CFA francs, or 75 euros for each child.
Since July 22nd, there have been 6 voluntary convoys, both from Mwanda and Franceville and from Chibanga and Mouila.
The convoy made it to Ngogo. This is the first Congolese town on the road to Dodizi. Local authorities had organized a welcoming ceremony. The former refugees traveled some 300 kilometers before arriving at their destination. In Dodizi, Jean-Paul Mabika and his compatriots are beginning a new life.
We now take our second break. Sports is next. Welcome back. The Gambia coach, Paul Putt, has pointed out the importance of Scorpions' resounding 3-0 victory over DR Congo in Banjul. The win is the Scorpions' second on the trot after a win-0 away success over Gabon in Libreville in June. Awande Busa has more on what Paul Putt is saying about his team's latest successes.
One tactician has hailed the efforts of his boys in the 3-0 win over the Democratic Republic of Congo, played Wednesday at the Independence Stadium in Bakau.
It was very good. We saw it on training ground that it was a possibility to play like this. So, and they did it, and they proved it on the game side. So it gives also to a coach more possibilities to make changements during the game tactically or to start the game. So give also concurrence to the players so that they know that they have to be there for 200%.
For a team that has had a mixed bag of results in 2011, the resounding 3-0 victory over DR Congo surprised some. But Coach Paul Putt says Gambians should have confidence in the team's ability to fly the Gambia's flag on the global football stage.
I don't think there is one coach who can say to his players, now you have to score 5 or 6 goals before the game. That's not possible. The attention before the game we had was to try to put as much pressure as possible at Congo side, and then make the individual action where it should be, make the changements, changing from sides, things like that, and they did it wonderful. And I also asked him to try to come into the box. If you see the first goal from Tian, was a wonderful goal.
Coach Paul Putt still remained optimistic on the Gambia's qualification to its first ever Nations Cup competition.
So they can come on the game very relaxed. We will play the game with a lot of pressure because we have to win. But I'm not going to force the players to say we have to go for 3-4-0. We will see how the game goes, and hopefully we can score the game, and then we will see. But I'm not going to play blind like a fool and say attack, attack, and then they counter you, you receive a goal.
For Ibrahim Masona of Sandefjord Football in Norway, the win against Congo will inject greater confidence in the team after a difficult few months of some poor results.
It means a lot, and not only about my teammates, and because it's something like we're preparing for the next game, So that victory will give us more, strength and more confidence before the game.
The combative midfielder is looking forward to the coming round of qualifiers, insisting it is time for the Gambia to book its place in the 2012 African Nations Cup finals.
Going back to our clubs is just to be like, train good and perform, because if you're performing in your team, then when you come here, like, you can give the same or even more than that, So it's just to be prepared and mentally and physically.
The fans are of importance to Gambia's qualifying quest, and Sohna could not conclude without hailing their efforts in the Scorpions' win over DR Congo.
It's like Ramadan, and even if it was like 20 people, they come out like it's something. Because even though like the stadium is not full, but we know every Gambians they are behind us, So for me, it was just like the stadium was full. Yeah.
Both Ibrahim Sohna and his coach are hoping to collect maximum points in Namibia in September. A positive result in Windhoek will surely raise expectations ahead of the crunch game against Burkina Faso in Banjul. For GRTS Sports, I am Debuso.
And still in sports, GRTS is pleased to inform its esteemed viewers that it will start the live broadcast of the English Barclays Premier League games in the coming season. The first of the live games to be aired will be today's lunchtime kickoff between Liverpool Football Club and Sunderland FC at Anfield. The live broadcast of the Premier League is a well-drawn partnership between GRTS and the GSM giants Gamcell, and it will run until the end of the new season in May 2012. Before we end this edition of the news, a recap of the top stories. Out of sight but not out of mind, President Jammeh has donated a brand new ambulance to the Tanka Tanka Psychiatric Center in Salaji. The Female Lawyers Association of the Gambia has drafted teachers in its battle against violence in society. President Jacob Zuma has ended his visit to Burundi with the signing of a host of agreements with authorities in Bujumbura. And Ivory Coast has indicted 58 officers close to former President Laurent Gbagbo for their role in the recently ended civil conflict. You can also follow that story and other GRTS programs live on our website at www.grts.gm. There you can also monitor GRTS Radio live. And with that, we come to the end of the news. Thanks for joining us and have a pleasant afternoon.